Hello, welcome to IGN. I'm Daniel.
And I'm Tom.
So this is a review commentary for the first kind of expansion set for Disney Infinity since it came out. So it launched with Cars and the Lone Ranger, but this is the first one that's come out
and
since.
Monsters University.
But that was all bundled in the actual game.
Oh, I see,
So you've got additional ones. This is an additional set. This is Toy Story in space. So in this video, we're going to just go through, show you what's in the box, what you get, and give you a kind of, is it worth your money kind of
So what is in the box?
So in the box, you get a little Perspex icon that goes at the top of the Infinity base, and it is Buzz Lightyear's ship, and that unlocks the content on the disc.
Okay.
So all this stuff is on the disc. It's on disc DLC essentially, but you need to buy the toys to unlock it.
That's very canny.
So we're going to jump into the game, and I'll show you where I'm up to with it and show you around. So you get two figures in the set. You get Buzz Lightyear, and you don't get that other figure that's on screen right now. You don't get Woody, you get Jessie instead.
One of the Roundup gang from Toy Story 2.
Toy Story 2. So obviously that's a slight intentional ploy because most kids would probably want Buzz and Woody.
Look at him. Look how adorable he is. I do love the art style of Disney Infinity.
They do a really good job of translating them into like this kind of unified style.
Yeah.
This is where my problem with Toy Story set kind of gets a little bit tricky. Is kind of the logic of Disney Infinity is the way that they get around it legally is the Disney characters. These aren't the Disney characters. There's toys of Disney characters, and that's why they can all coexist in one world. But that means these are toys of toys.
Toys of toys. Toyception.
And I feel like we'll get onto it in more detail in the actual when we start playing, but I feel like it's a little bit missed opportunity because there's probably an opportunity with Toy Story to do some quite interesting kind of self-referential stuff with them being toys.
Toys of toys, yeah. But I mean, Disney, they've got to have obviously a unified approach, right? Oh, here we go. So you've put Buzz onto
let's start with Buzz. So the first thing to say, looking around this world, it might look really interesting right now. When you start, this is entirely barren. There's nothing in it. So you've landed on this alien planet, and it's up to you, essentially, in the early stages of the campaign, to terraform it. And if you've played the other add-on sets, which are Lone Ranger and Cars, this might kind of look a bit familiar and a bit boring because both those sets are based in kind of barren, deserty wastelands. So it's not the most visually interesting when you start off. So
the little aliens, you think they look a little bit Pikmin reminiscent, aren't they?
Yeah, there's a lots of these little guys dotted around the place.
Can you throw him?
Well, my favourite thing to do always was... That's why
drop kick him.
That's why I got an 8.7. So let's just go back into town. So you start off with, you're basically on a mission to settle this planet, and you start off with this command center, Star Command Center. And the early stages of the game are erecting these platforms through platforming, and basically a lot of it's spent just running around this little small area, grinding and collecting these little gems.
And what, when you see the little man with a question mark over him, what does that mean? Has he got like a little quest for you?
Yeah, so if you've got a question mark, it'll tell you a snippet of information or a side quest. If it's an exclamation mark, it'll be a mission. So again, when you first start off, it's about erecting these platforms. So Rex is there.
Who it is.
The voice acting is really good as well.
It's nice to see you.
And Ham is around somewhere, and they are the main two who give you objectives early on in the game, and you can decorate it and customize it. So I'll just give you a brief tour around. To do that, I'll get on
look who it is.
Bullseye. So you unlock Bullseye, so you get unlockables throughout the game. Well, let me just jump off actually. Let's go to this Toy Story first. So for the first hour or so, if you've played Disney Infinity, a lot of this will be quite familiar because it takes you through all the essentials, shows you what the toy store is. And so the main kind of 3-4 hour gameplay is about unlocking these items over a period of time, collecting gems to buy them once they're unlocked, and then positioning these different stores in your kind of makeshift settlement.
Right.
So in that aspect, it's quite like the Incredible set in the starter kit. So it's about buying and then positioning these different kind of buildings. So there's a combat simulator, which I'll show you in a minute, where you can fight Zerg's drones. There's a hospital where you can pick up these little aliens and take them to be healed. There's a hatchery. You can find alien eggs dotted around the landscape, which you can take there and they'll hatch into kind of weird and wonderful alien creatures. Decoration center can make things look pretty. And then I haven't got the last two, which is a monument of heroes, and a research station.
So what's his name? Bullseye is there within the game.
You have to unlock him. No, you have to unlock him. You have to unlock him by doing mission objectives, and then you have to buy him using gems.
Right.
Which are these little things.
Okay. And what's that orange thing there?
So the orange thing here is a character-based quest, so you can launch a challenge here. So I've done it on easy already. Let's start it on medium.
Initiated. Collect this many. Here's the time limit.
So it's very simple, like kind of platforming games.
Yeah.
A lot of these are in the place because what the game kind of does to extend its campaign length is it holds back pieces of equipment from you,
right,
and only lets you unlock them after a certain amount of time has passed. So a lot of these things you'll do just to pass the time until you can get the next piece of equipment.
Okay, so you're leveling up by collecting the gems.
Yeah, and you're using them as currency to buy stuff from the store. So I'll just give you a brief tour around so you can get some sense of scale and size of the playset. It's actually not all that big, so you can go all the way down there. You can go to some of those platforms in the distance, and it extends over there. So that's pretty much it in terms of size. Like there's little things to do. The missions aren't that varied if you've played the starter set.
Okay.
It doesn't introduce any new mechanics like I felt every single of the core sets did. The big attraction is it's the characters, I guess.
Yeah, and do you unlock stuff in this part for your toy box?
So there's lots of these little kind of caps that contain things like Sarge Prop.
Okay.
You can have those back in the toy box, and also all the buildings that you unlock throughout the course of the single player in this playset. So let me just show you some of these buildings. Also, you retain all the kind of building textures that you find. So every building in here, like in the other sets, you can customize with different wallpapers. So you can have Andy's room, or you can give it like a Rex texture.
Yeah.
You can take all these textures back into the toy box mode. Let's just give it wood trim. Lovely. So this is if you play, again, no kind of new ideas, just kind of adapted for the Toy Story world. So if you throw all these little alien dudes into there, you can
dress him up
as different characters from Toy Story. So you can make him into Lotso. Look at that, I didn't know I got that. I've got a Stinky Pete hat.
Oh, look at that. He's got a little beard on as well.
So this is very much the same as Design Your Own Monster in the Monsters University set. So let's turn him into Lotso. And then you press apply, and then he gets kicked out at the end. Like, it's cute, but if you've played the Monsters University, I don't think it justifies.
But if you're a kid and
you love Toy Story,
then.
So this is probably the best of all the additional sets, the buildings that you can build. Let's just we'll head in here. Let's go on to this. Let's have a tour.
So what's this?
This is kind of Star Command's training center.
Okay.
And you go in here and you can do kind of VR missions. So there's a tutorial, and then there's 3 VR missions of varying difficulty.
Okay.
And they're a good way to earn loads of gems if you want to buy stuff in the playset. So you can see this holographic Zurg.
Is Zurg in the game?
I've not met him yet. I've played it for about 3 hours.
Okay.
I've not met him. I've only seen this holographic version of him. So these are the 3 different VR missions that you can do if you want to be a proper Space Ranger.
So can you complete these playsets?
You can probably do all the side missions, buy everything that's in the toy box, and essentially kind of exhaust its possibilities.
Right.
So this is kind of third-person shooting. Again, not a new idea if you've played the Monsters University set. There's kind of a paintball game. I think that you played once.
Yeah.
It's kind of similar, but it's also, there's a little bit of light platforming in these as well. They're really nice, bright and colourful. And it's like a little...
I'd rather have my kid playing this than Call of Duty.
It's fairly easy third-person shooter,
Yeah.
Barrel roll, Gears of War style. But again, like I said, these are a great way to like earn loads and loads of gems if you want to buy stuff.
How do you think Buzz Lightyear would survive in a Gears of War style situation?
Well, he'd own it, wouldn't he?
Do you think he'd be pulling heads off?
I think he uses little LED laser to decapitate someone.
That's probably a Photoshop waiting to happen.
Well, get on it after this.
Got nothing else to do.
See, the thing that criticism of like Disney Infinity and Skylanders is like, how much game is there before you have to buy stuff?
Yeah.
This is £27. I don't know what it is in dollars. I think that's quite a lot,
especially
probably for the additional content.
Yeah, I mean, as a sort of the layman on the street won't probably understand it's on the disc, right?
Yeah.
The fact that it's on a disc is only really relevant to people who are really into their video games and know how that works. As a parent, you're paying £27 for the 3 toys, and that unlocks like hours of fun.
Yeah,
for a child,
Woody's
right?
£9 separately. But obviously, Woody is no use unless you buy this playset. So.
Right. Yeah, it's hard to justify, but it is awesome.
It is cool to play as the Toy Story characters, obviously. What I was kind of disappointed about was all this kind of individual playset stuff. There was nothing like wholly new. I think the core game, what it does, it rations its best ideas across 3 properties.
Yeah.
And then I think for this, it's kind of cherry pick stuff from all 3 of those.
But what you were hoping for was that they would introduce more new
mechanics. Do something really Toy Story specific, or find something else. Like, I don't feel like you see enough of the other supporting characters like Rex and Hammer in there. I don't know whether it's to hold them back, perhaps, or. But I think the production values are good. I think the voice acting is incredible. Like, I haven't researched. I should check. I don't think it's Tom Hanks, but like the impersonation is almost spot on.
Yeah. How's your Tom Hanks impression?
Tom, you know my impressions are terrible. They all make me into kind of accidental racist. It could be anything from Pakistani to Welsh. Just like these little skating bits as well.
That's cool. You can't fall off that though, right? You're literally on
you
rails.
can if you're really, really bad. So, for instance, this gun is something you unlock, and then you can take that back into the toy box mode. So before you get this gun, you actually have to do this. Rather embarrassing now, I'm going to get beaten up here. You have to do this with a baseball.
You have to do this with the ball.
Yeah, if you haven't unlocked the gun yet. So yeah,
you're about to die.
I know. It's pretty hard. Bash into them. I need to get my gun back. So, in terms of visual variety, these are definitely the best parts of this playset. Otherwise, you're pretty much stuck on that rock,
right,
for 2-3 hours.
Yeah,
and it's not the most visually interesting. Again, like I said, if you've played the Lone Ranger set, which is in the middle of the desert, and the car set, which again is in the middle of the desert, it doesn't feel very varied.
Yeah. So what other playsets are there coming out?
So playsets, and that's where you unlock a bit of the game. Like, it comes with a special icon that goes on the top of the Infinity base. Okay. So there's a Frozen set coming up to tie in with the new Disney animated movie.
Right.
And there's also a Phineas and Ferb set.
Yeah, which is probably going to be quite popular, isn't it?
And I think there might be a Wreck-It Ralph set coming as well. But there's also standalone characters which will have their own building material. So there's a Jack Skellington.
Nice.
Which would be very cool. And there's a Mickey, Fantasia Mickey.
Is there a Tron set coming on, I imagine?
There's Tron stuff in the core game, like in terms of decorations. So I imagine something Tron inspired might be heading.
Yeah.
That hasn't been announced so far.
So can you play this as Jessie?
You can play this as Jessie. So if you want to switch Jessie over now.
Yeah. And we could play this as 2-player as well,
We
right?
can play co-op as well, yeah. So you can play as Jessie as well. He's got a very Jessie-like walk.
Very puppet-like.
Yeah, the animation's really good. Like, so for instance, when you put Buzz down, he'll use his LED laser to check their surroundings like he does in the movie. Although it's a shame you can't actually use that laser.
Well, it's true to life.
Well, you can't, but he doesn't have his wings either. You have to unlock that, so you're kind of a little bit limited. But obviously, that's to extend the gameplay somewhat.
Played in the other Toy Story games?
I haven't, no.
I'm just wondering how it sort of compares. I mean, this is getting fairly repetitive now.
Yeah, and there's 3 of these, so this is the end now.
But this was the medium one.
This is the medium one, and it's pretty much the same. It's just more dudes, and it goes on for longer.
Yeah.
And you know what? You'll never really fail, because you come back instantly.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's a good way to mine loads of gemstones.
Yeah.
So get out of here now.
So I take it now you've unlocked the hard version.
Yeah.
That little animation is
The animation's really good when you leave them standing. I'll see what Buzz does.
Things are quite pleasant here.
Yeah, it's quite close to Tim Allen, isn't it? This looks a bit like a Laser Quest sort of.
Yeah, it's a bit like
the 90s.
Yeah, it's like a little bit like Pizza Planet inspired where they go to in the first movie. So yeah, let's go around a few of these other buildings. So this is a little dude that dressed up to look like Rex. So for him, you need to find the Woody costume, and you'll just unlock some more cash.
Okay. And how would you do that? You just find it?
You have to find it in one of those little capsules that started around the landscape. There's a hospital there. Sometimes you'll find little alien dudes who've had a car accident.
Okay.
You've got to get them to the hospital. If we throw on these dudes in here...
Can you get on the back of Rex?
You can't, sadly. Throw them in there. And this will just randomly decorate characters. So... it's a bit of a duplicate of the decoration machine, but it just kind of does it automatically.
Right.
I've barely used it. Oh, I've thrown him into there. Just a really good shot, Tom. And so a lot of these areas are inaccessible right from the beginning. Eventually, you'll bash loads of crates to get building pieces for this, which is a teleportation machine that takes you to inaccessible regions of the map.
At random?
You know, you can determine where you go by selecting a picture of it in advance. So,
and this is they'll hide hidden things up here.
Yeah, so like boxes, collectibles, building materials. Yeah, so this kind of bit more platformy. Yeah, I've just failed there. So if you go there, you press use, and you can select where you go to in the map.
Yeah.
But it's, you know what, it really isn't that big. This is quite interesting. I thought this would kill me. Oh, these plants, if you jump on them, they kind of fart.
Good,
you know?
farting plants, yeah.
Kids like
love farting, yeah.
Well, I do. And then purple goo, it's quite good.
Hey.
Little mini Buzz Lightyear. So around the map, there'll be like little tiny entrances that you can get into.
Can you still pick up the little characters when you're tiny?
Let me try, actually.
Have they shrank as well? No, you can.
So yeah, you'll find these dotted about, kind of little advertisements for
Hey
Woody.
Kids, I'm only £9. There's a tenner in my boot. There's a tenner in your parents' boot.
Don't steal from your parents.
Do not. You will not find £10 in their shoes.
So that's about it.
So
really?
In terms of like, obviously it doesn't really affect the review score of the game because you review that on its own merit.
Yeah, and I'll still stand by my opinion that I think for the core set, which comes in at under £50 now, there's a lot of game and there's a hell of a lot to do and there's a lot of variety. And as much as I like the Toy Story characters and the animation and the voice acting, all that stuff is great. Look at that. He's so bursting full of character. The kind of 2-3 hours that I've spent so far in the set, I don't think it's done much to add to the overall Disney experience.
Right.
I think it's either diluted it or given me a feeling of deja vu.
Okay. So it's a bit more. It's more of the same, really.
Yeah.
Than a whole new experience.
Yeah, and I was expecting. Maybe I was being slightly optimistic. I was expecting it almost to bring something really new to the to the game where it's not. It's kind of just fleshed it out and added those new characters. If you're the world's biggest Toy Story fan,
yeah,
you know, you get to take all this stuff back into the toy box, and you can play with your favourite Toy Story characters. Well, 3 of them.
Yeah.
And Bullseye, and an alien seahorse. But, you know, that's the major caveat. If you're a huge Toy Story fan, it's probably still appealing, but I still think just stick with the core Disney Infinity set for now.
There's nothing to tempt you to get the new sets just yet?
No. So...
is that goodbye from Buzz?
That's goodbye from me, that's goodbye from you, and that's goodbye from Buzz.
Thanks for joining us.